Welcome back. South Africa's higher education sector is in trouble. The resignation of NSFAS chairperson Sizwe Xasana is raising questions about how bad the state of student financing is. Allegations of corruption, massive historical debt and backlogs dogging the sector. Higher Education Minister Naledi Pandor is vowing to fix it all, but until that happens, no one can apply for funding. So where does this leave our poorest students who rely on NSFAS to get further than matric? Let's unpack the story now a little further. We're joined in studio to my left by student leader Fasiha Hassan. Also here with us is the EFF's Student Command President, Puti Kietse, and of course Director General at the Higher Education Department, Gwebs Kunde. Thanks very much to all of you for coming into studio. Gwebs, perhaps let's start with you as DG at Higher Education. I mean, we're in August, a few months to go before 2019. By this time of year, students will have applied for their funding for the following year. So that has not happened now.
No, it hasn't happened as yet, because at the present moment, what is happening at NSFAS, there is a huge operation in attending and addressing outstanding decisions for funding students for 2017 as well as 2018, and also ensuring that the funds then to eligible students are actually paid to institutions and subsequently to the students. So then the minister felt it quite important that the 2017-2018 funding cycle has to be finalized before a new process is opened after a thorough diagnostic and investigation of the business processes.
Is this a massive administrative blunder? Because should this not have been wrapped up by now? The 2017-2018 funding, the backlogs, the students who qualify, should it not have been wrapped up well in advance so we can get going with 2019?
That's precisely what the minister is addressing and what she has raised in numerous occasions to the board, subsequently to the machinery at an operational level of NSFAS, that the delay in finalizing all the funding decisions for 2017 and 2018 is quite imperative, and it has gone beyond the mark, and all the efforts and the focus now has to be put in addressing those outstanding matters and make thorough preparations for 2019 rollout so that there are no hiccups. But in order to do that, you have to understand as to what are the business process glitches that are hindering these operations to be efficient and as effective as they should be.
Fasiha, I want to bring you into the discussion. I mean, to me, it seems like it's a bit late to be discussing what the blunders were for 2017 and 2018. What's your response to what the DG is saying?
Look, I think that there's a crisis in NSFAS. I think that there's been a crisis in NSFAS for some time now, and what we're seeing is that the actual system isn't able to cope with essentially the demands of what free education means. So while on one hand we can say that there are very short timelines that came from the December announcement, that argument may hold. But a lot of these issues are historic. A lot of these issues are prior to December. And I think you're very correct in saying that there's a huge maladministration crisis that's currently happening. And the fact of the matter is that whoever is to blame for the crisis, the fact is students are the ones who are suffering. And it's absolutely unacceptable that now in August even, students have not gotten their disbursements. There are students right now who have had to make means some way or the other.
Is this for 2018?
For 2018, who have not gotten their stipends that they should have gotten in February of March. So that's one of the things the minister's acknowledged, and I think we're all in agreement that we need to correct it. But it's more than that. We need to now deal not with the systematic issues. We need to deal with the root cause of the problem, and that is the structure of what NSFAS is, and therefore its inability to cope with the demand of higher education.
And what is the EFF's response to these massive delays and this issue of the structure of NSFAS?
Look,
what's your response as the EFF's Student Command?
We remember earlier on this year, we had made it very clear as the EFF Students Command that NSFAS is not going to be capacitated enough to administer the free education that the giggling one from Nkandla had announced in December, right? And we have given reasons why we feel like NSFAS is not capacitated enough. Part of the reasons was that even today, students who were using NSFAS in 2016 and 2017, some of them, they haven't graduated because NSFAS haven't settled their own bills, the fees.
And obviously that means they can't apply
And
for
obviously you
jobs.
can't apply for job. You can't even apply for any sort of bursary because when you go to any company, they are going to request your marks. So as a result, they are excluding students financially and they can't even go out and look for employment. Now back to the issue of NSFAS on its own entirety and why it must be rejected vehemently. It is because it is not going to be able to administer now the huge number of students that are going to come under this umbrella of free education. Remember now, the cap was then increased to say we're going to accommodate X number of students who are earning from this number to that number. Obviously, the number is going to be huge. This very same institution was failing with a little number of students that it had then. What will happen now? So we are saying the government must develop its own capacity through institutions of higher learning and every stakeholder that is involved in the entire process. Because clearly NSFAS is not going to assist us with anything. In fact, what we have seen is that many of our students have been evicted from their own residences because how you have an agreement as an institution and a landlord, you know, there is some operational agreements you have, and as a result, now NSFAS is not paying for number of students, and landlords are losing patience, and they are saying, no, we can't keep you here while we are not getting anything, and our students are finding themselves on the streets. And what is more problematic now, it affects students not only financially, but also physically. They are being abused, they are being harassed, especially in TVET colleges, where students, they go, you know, to school with empty stomach. They get there are no materials because you need to get stipend, you need to get book allowances. How are you going to resume classes without book allowances?
DG, I mean, from what we're hearing from those who represent the students, it's not just the issue of money being dispersed on time, but I mean, we're talking evictions from residences, students having nowhere to live, being excluded from the universities or the institutions they're studying at, not being able to apply for jobs. I mean, these are far-reaching issues that relate just to this one issue of NSFAS. What do we do from here?
I think let's separate two things. For 2015-16, there were students in the system who owed institutions that we refer to as historic debt. What then happened? Government made money available to pay all outstanding debts for students who were supposed to have benefited in the first instance for NSFAS. Then there are mechanisms in place for students to be identified at institutional level, and they submit claims and those monies are paid. That one is not a problem. Now, the question here, which is a challenge, NSFAS in 2016, late 2016, decided to centralize the model of administering applications at NSFAS. Then that system couldn't have capacity to roll out processes to generate schedule of particulars that would be dispersed students for signing, acknowledging, and then funding is made available.
So the centralized system wasn't working?
It's not working.
Right.
It's not working currently. That is the reason why basically the minister is saying, no, there are systemic challenges, there are systemic problems here. You can't carry on as business as usual. Let us focus and deploy all the resources that we have in addressing these glitches that are affecting 2017, 2018 in the main. And today the minister met with the board to discuss these issues. And in that discussion, the board actually put to the minister their willingness for the minister to appoint an administrator, which confirms the intent that the minister had in respect to some of the intervention that have to be effected at NSFAS. Those are the developments of today.
I'm asking
Now-
you, yeah, what I want to ask is it a bit late in August to be convening these meetings of the board and trying to address these shortcomings now, in August 2018?
This is a culmination of the process. There's a lot that has been happening, including sending dedicated teams that have actually improved the rollout and funding decisions to institutions.
I think Mr.
But
Monde
we
is,
are
Let
saying,
him finish and then we'll take your
but
point. Let him finish.
it's not adequate in addressing all the outstanding matters
Okay, well,
that we
let's-
acknowledge upfront.
But where we are sitting now, there are many other TVET colleges out there who have not been going to school for the past 3 months, right? And you must think about their academic process. And, you can't just say, it has been a cumulative process that we're dealing with, and then now it's August, it's when now you are raising your ear that we need to work out on the backlog administratively. While we speak about, the academic calendar is not waiting for anyone. Lectures are continuing, it doesn't matter, and there are students who are frustrated by this very same system who are not getting their own monies on time.
So
and
are students
he
missing out on a
speaks like
year,
that.
essentially?
Look, I think it's even more than a year. I think that these are not issues that we knew about today or yesterday. These are issues that we've been knowing for years. To make the argument that there's only a problem now is incorrect. For many years, our students have been being kicked out of university residences, even private accommodation. This thing of allowances and not having access to textbooks has been there. This is something that we even raised during Fees Must Fall. These are not new issues. And I think that's also where the frustration comes from the president and from other student organizations to say, you're quite right, it can't just be now in August of 2018 that the issues are being raised. But it's more than that. I think the point that we are making is that as much as the chairperson of NSFAS has now resigned, it's far beyond that. We need to restructure NSFAS. I don't even think we should be calling it NSFAS, but we need to restructure how we fund higher education, because we can go back and forth about how long it's been or what the issues are, but right now there's a student who doesn't have accommodation. Right now there's a student who doesn't have a textbook, and right now there's probably a girl who doesn't have access to sanitary towels because she didn't get her stipend, and therefore her academic success is not able, she's not able to perform well because she doesn't have that those resources. So we need to go down to what's actually important.
Yeah, those consequences certainly far-reaching. I'd like to thank my panel. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. We've got so much
think
more
it's
to
quite
discuss.
important to clear this point that in respect to the
You've got a few
problems and
seconds,
challenges
Squirt.
that are there, we all agree, and measures of intervening to address these problems, the minister has actually put them in place, and the last resort is to put NSFAS under administration, of which is something that has happened as a culmination of looking for interventions that would, in the end, help to address the administration, management, as well as governance at NSFAS.
All right, we are out of time, unfortunately. Thanks very much again to all of you for coming into studio. The issue of higher education certainly still a long way to go to discuss just unpacking what it entails to run NSFAS if it's going to be called at another name. Our guests in studio, the EFF Student Command President, Puti Kietse, Student Leader Fasiha Hassan, and of course DG at the Department of Higher Education, Gwebs Konde. Thanks very much to all of you for coming in. All right, to this story now. She's dribbled her way through soccer fields all over the world. Now she's targeting a PSL coaching job. Coming up, we talk to former Banyana star, Osha Bodise. Stay with us.